So we're going to do this link. There's two of them. There's two of them to do. I'm going to show you guys how you're going to do this in the Delta Math link on your Chromebook. So first look at the function. First look at the function. All right. I want you to first focus on what's in the parentheses. And what is in the parentheses? 1/2. Is that greater than 1 or is that between 0 and 1? It's between 0 and 1. So what word am I thinking when I think about this exponential function? Somebody said I was going to tell that? Nice. This is decay. All right. That's the first thing I want you to do. Look at the base. What? Go ahead. If it's between 0 and 1, it's decay. And if it's greater than 1, it's going to be growth. Yes, every time. All right. Now, the next thing I want you to do is, do you see that number that's written after it? Do you guys see the -8? That is always going to be your asymptote. All right. So whatever number's out there, you're going to write y equals that number. Now, on Delta Math, you're going to have to type that in. So you'll notice when you look at the graph here in a moment, it already plotted the asymptote because I typed into this problem, I typed in -8. So do you guys see this graph here? Do you see what's happening at y equals -8, right? This is my asymptote. Okay? All right. Now, to finish the problem, it says to plot at least 5 points. Now, remember, some of these points you cannot plot on this grid. The grid only goes from -10 to +10 in the x and y direction. So can I plot this first point? It has a y value of 2040? No. So you're going to find the points that you can actually plot. So I'll be plotting these 5. Those are the ones that I can plot that are not decimals. Everyone still with me? All right, so I'm going to plot those right now. Minerva, your face is saying you're not okay. Are you okay? Yeah. Okay. All right, so I see -3 and +8, -2 and 0, -1 and -4, 0 and -6, and finally 1, -7. Now remember, this is exponential decay. So I'm thinking I need to make a decay curve, right? So you'll do your best here, and you're going to actually draw this in your Chromebook. It's going to be sick. And remember, when you do this on the link, try your best to get closer and closer to the asymptote, but you're never actually touching it. Okay? Now, a couple of things, because I was playing around with it maybe last week, and if you don't put the arrows, it won't count it correctly. If you don't draw it all the way to the end of the grid, it won't count it correctly. All right, so make sure you're drawing it all the way, and make sure you put the arrows. All right? Any questions on this one? That's it for this first one. Yes, Jasmine? How do I know which points to use? Yeah. So the points I'm going to use are the ones that don't have decimals that are actually can be plotted on this grid. Remember, it goes from -10 to +10 in both directions. So if any of these numbers are past -10 or 10, right, like this works because it's between -10 and 10, but look at the y value. That's way past +10, so I can't use that. So I chose these 5 because all of the x and y values are between -10 and +10. Okay? Everybody good? Okay, flip over to the back side. Let's do one more together, and then I'll be finished. What did I do with the y? That's the asymptote. That's where if you're going to type that in first, and then it's going to reload the page with the asymptote on the grid. You'll see when you try it. This isn't so bad. I think you guys will be okay. I think you guys can do that. Maybe obviously not today. We don't have enough time, but you should have time or should know how to do it. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is look at this base. What do you notice about that base? It's 2, which is greater than 1. Greater than 1. Remember the question sector, is it between 0 and 1? No. Is it greater than 1? Yes, so this should be called exponential growth. Right, this is exponential growth. So I'm going to be doing a growth curve. Then the next thing I do is I look at that number there, plus 1. That is my asymptote. Thank you, Natalia. I don't know where we'd be without you. That's the asymptote. Y equals 1. What if it had said minus 1? Then my asymptote is y equals negative 1. So just pull the sign with it. Okay? All right, Jasmine, here's where I choose which points to plot. Ready? It says at least 4 points. So let's choose the points. All right. I can plot this one, right? See how those are between negative 10 and positive 10? I can plot this one. I can plot this one. And I can plot that one. Could I plot 0, 17? No, that 17 is too large. All right, it's past 10. So I'll be plotting those 4. So negative 4, positive 2. Negative 3, 3. Negative 2, 5. And finally, negative 1, positive 9. Right? Remember, we're making exponential growth. Right? So try your best to make this look like it's exponential growth. Make sure you go all the way to the end and then put your arrows. If you don't go all the way to the end or put your arrows, it's not going to count it as correct when you practice it. Question, Emmanuel? That's it. That's all I'm asking you to do for this link.